during my time in national service. I was in Air Base, just a couple of miles from here. So I was having my stay-in training at that point of time. I remember it was June, just one day before my birthday. So all the rookies, the recruits, we were being assigned to various places in the base for guard duty, graveyard shift, actually from 12 midnights all the way to 6 a.m. I was being assigned to this classified location deep within the airbase. In that location itself, it's actually a small office, one level office complex. There's only a guardhouse out front. It's not very big, it's just like a normal HDB common room size. There's two guards. One will be sleeping and one will be on point. I got onto the jeep. They transport me right out to the location. It was pretty far deep in, but it was too dark to see where exactly I'm going. So when I reached there, the senior briefed me on what to do and what not to do. And fast forward, I start my duty. It was just quiet because it was the weekend and there was no other personnel in the base. So it's just me and the senior, that's all. I start my duty at 12 midnight. So along the way, like about 1 to 2 hours in, I got bored. I was flipping through newspaper. So just right about 3 a.m. I started to hear faint footsteps. So I lowered down the newspaper to check it out, see who it is. I even step out of the office to check if there's anyone else. So I just brush it off, continue on. Around 3:15 a.m. I had the newspaper up this way. I just let go of the newspaper, then I look up. This lady, around 20 odd years old, she appeared right in front of me. She was looking straight down at me. Half her face was actually burned off, so you can see the eyeballs dangling out. So it's staring right through at me like I'm looking at the camera right now. So she went past and disappeared through the gates.
I really don't feel good. You're getting a vibe.
Is anyone here? What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.
The plot of land where Adventure Cove is used to be a Malay cemetery. It was actually around 10 a.m. just when the park opened, just 5 minutes after the park opened. It's quite a weekday and I heard people walking up the steps. I can hear the pressure on the wood coming up the steps slowly. So I turned around and say, "Hi, welcome, please put your foot in there." I turned around and there was no one. I radioed the lifeguard downstairs. I asked him, "Anyone came up? Any first guest?" He said, "No, it's just you and me only. Who else?" I'm like, "Okay, can..." Actually, that particular tower, not only just me. My colleague had her own episode. So just sitting there, same thing like me, waiting for guests to come out. She heard people knocking inside the tunnel. It's legit in the tunnel, calling out for her. She also shared with me there's been sightings of floating heads. But got one incident that really creeped me out a lot is we have this particular ride called the Riptide Rocket. We have infrared sensors throughout to sense where the raft going. So it was after 7 during the Hungry Ghost Festival month. After 7, we were trying to launch the last 2 guests. So what happened is I was looking at this direction up the film. So that's the sensor is. All of a sudden the alarm tripped. The control center comes in and says, "Hey, did anyone stuck there or anyone went past?" And I say, "Who? It's 7:15 at night. Who else is going past there? We look left, we look right. There's nothing." But it keeps saying there's an error there. Like there's someone in the tunnel. But we brush it off quickly and just clear the rest of the people. As we know that this famous wax museum in Imperial lookout itself used to be a British hospital. There's a lot of hauntings inside. Maybe I just start with the most famous one, which is the Lady in Red. In the museum, there's this place called the boat ride. So it's just a small 5-minute ride. At the end of the boat ride, you'll see this opera figure. She lived there. Each time newcomers come, you got to take the boat ride. Depend on your luck, you may get to see her. I managed to catch a glimpse of her. She was peeping out through the opera wax figure to see who's this newbie. I remember there's one incident that still linger in my memories. We had this Malay couple that came from Indonesia. So they have a 5-year-old child with them. So after the boat ride, the child was crying fiercely. As frontline staff, we went to ask, like, hey, what's wrong? Is it the darkness or is it things that frightened you? And he just pointed straight towards the opera figure and said that, Ma, kacau, Ma, kacau. My manager is a Malay. So she heard, immediately they know what's going on. They took the child, we go by the exit into the Wax Museum instead. In the Wax Museum, there's a lot of stories, like small children running after hours. But the Lady in Red was really pure evil. Like, she only wants children. After like 6 months working there, it really frightens me. To the point that when I traveled to Taiwan, I went to a famous temple to seek divine protection. A lot of staff that work in Imperial Lookout, that attraction area, knows that at certain timing there's a very strong smell of frangipani. It's really a hotspot for Kapon itself. I used to work at the Carlsberg Sky Tower, which has since been removed really. I have an intern that can interact with the spiritual realm. It was in the afternoon, I remember vividly. She was just standing behind me. Her face just went pale. I just looked at her like, hey, are you sick? Or what? But she didn't respond to me. Bear in mind, she's just like a 16-year-old petite girl. But when I asked her, hey, are you alright? She replied me like, no, go away. I back off. So half an hour later, she managed to chase the spirit away. I asked her what's going on. She said she was being possessed by a guy and a girl at the same time. And she often can see a lady in Chomsam sitting inside the ride with her. I really hate to do night shift with her, legit. I don't like to do night shift with her. Every time I do the last ride, she will say, hey, the lady is sitting beside you right now. She wants to talk to you. And I'm like, oh my god, shut up.
So which is the most haunted place in Sentosa?
Wow. Most haunted place. I would say Fort Siloso itself. If you ever remember, they did like a Sentosa horror night at Fort Siloso.
Yes.
I went on a Thursday night somehow. That was a bad choice. We were walking in the tunnel, you can feel like the energy is so different. There was one of the houses that we had walked through, I think Tunnel C. When you go in, you just feel the vibe is it's just not good. Remember this place where they have the war room, where they show all the wax figure, where they sign the peace treaty on the level 2. There's a particular chair. From my seniors, they tell me that this chair used to move around by itself. You put at point A, tomorrow you'll be at point C or point D. They got so sick and tired of it, they decided to cable tie the chair. I do not believe it. I went in, I checked the chair, there is cable tie on it. When we want to close the museum, I don't know why the way they design it is like the light switch is all the way at the end of the room. So I had to walk in from the entrance, sneak in through those bad juju things just to off the lights. So I remember I off the light and I ran. I simply dashed right out there.
What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.